All right. Well, some interesting comments this week from House Speaker Tom Tillis as he continues his quest to unseat U.S. Senator Kay Hagan. In an interview with Politico, Tillis talked about criticism of the conservative agenda in Raleigh, saying, "I think for the most part, what I see from the folks who are opposing our agenda is whining coming from losers. They lost, they don't like it, and they are trying to do everything they can to, I think, cast doubt on things that I think are wise, and that the average citizen, when they know what we are doing, I think like it." In that same article, incumbent Senator Kay Hagan was asked if she would back the Affordable Care Act if given another chance. She said, "I would vote for it again. People have to realize that the cost of health care was getting out of reach for everybody." Will this race boil down, do you think, to Tillis's agenda in Raleigh and Kay Hagan's support of the president?
Yeah, it's Obamacare against what happened in the General Assembly this past year, and you know that comment from Tillis really is reminiscent of the 47% or something like that. You can easily see Democratic groups putting that very prominently in ads, and at the same time, we've already seen the national ads coming in for Kay Hagan, and she supported the Obama health care plan, and those two things are not good for you, and so please vote Republican. So it's game on.
Well, I would say that it's unfortunate that a person who is running for a national office to represent all of North Carolinians would regard many of those North Carolinians as losers. Who are these losers? Are they the teachers who have not had pay raises, who are at the bottom of the national charts when it comes to funding? Are they hardworking North Carolinians who are trying to make a way, but with tax reform enacted by this General Assembly, are now going to bear more tax burden? Who are these losers, and why should they vote for Tom Tillis?
Is Tom Tillis going to have to move toward the center, do you think? Because already we've seen some softening on the issue of teacher pay when it comes to the governor, saying that he thinks that teachers need increased pay now. They're going to work to try to find a way to do that in the next session.
That, without question, is going to have to be a Republican victory, is to work with Democrats to be able to solve that problem, because they very clearly know that you cannot lead from behind in this country and get the economy back on track and attract jobs with a strong educational system. Tom and the rest of his team are going to have to get out a positive message to bring out what they did accomplish that he's referring to in that quote, which I think is obviously the tax reform to get us in parity with South Carolina, obviously Tennessee with out-of-state income tax, and Virginia. We're trying to compete as a border state and a border city here in Charlotte. So that's getting drowned out by the other extremes that the Democratic side is going to obviously extenuate, which has been voting rights and the others.
How much, I was going to just ask, how much did the perception of Republicans in this state hurt your campaign?
It was a factor in it. I mean, my race boiled down to obviously turnout as well as the demographic change that we've seen in the city of Charlotte as far as registered Republicans versus Democrats. But the backdrop to that, Dave, had to have been, and it was in our race, the legislative agenda that occurred really in the last 2 years. Most particularly this past summer, starting right around June, was, I would say, the pinnacle of when there became a lot of discontent for many of the moderates, both Democrats as well as Republicans.
Well, and I think one of the difficult things for Tillis is that he probably does have to move closer to the center, but he's involved in a primary with Mark Harris and others who are going to pull him to the right if he wants to survive that. So that's a very delicate dance, you know, almost as difficult as Kay Hagan trying to explain that she would still vote for the health care law even though she doesn't like the way it's working.
But he's got to be a strong general election candidate. He is the front runner right now, and again, if he's going to beat an incumbent with $7.5 million in the bank, he's going to have to really differentiate himself to show why he's the better leader than Kay Hagan, and that's what he's going to have to do. I don't think he's going to have to cater to the right here.
Well, I'd be delighted to see how Mr. Tillis will defend the Republican record in the General Assembly over the last year. I can tell you that at the local level, we have felt the effects of what I view as a reckless agenda. So I'm happy to have the Republicans have that debate, and when Kay Hagan enters into the fray, we'll see who wins it.
All right, well, coming up here, a new chair and some new faces on County Commission. Is there a new direction or an old divide when Flashpoint continues?